Once upon a time in a faraway land, there was a boy named Brad who hated waking up in the morning. Now, normally children do not hate waking up because they have no school or homework to complete. And Brad was no exception. He did not hate waking up because of school. He hated waking up because of his alarm clock. You see, Brad's alarm clock wasn't like other alarm clocks. It didn't buzz or ding to wake him up. It told jokes, and every single one of its jokes was worse than the last. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. Or how about this one? What do you call an angry carrot? A steamed veggie. And my personal favorite, why did the bicycle fall over? Because it was too tired. I mean, who thought these up? Who thought these were funny? Brad certainly didn't. And Brad's dad didn't either. That is why he took matters into his own hands and bought a brand new alarm clock for his son. It had all the bells and whistles, a cool blue backlight, a charging port, and a nice little button that would snooze the alarm for 9 minutes. But as soon as Brad heard the first joke from the new alarm clock, he knew it was going to be another atomic adventure. Hey, what do you call a lazy kangaroo? A pouch potato. Okay, maybe not the worst joke ever. But then the clock continued with joke after joke, each one more painful than the last. What musical instrument is found in the bathroom? A tube of toothpaste. You gotta admit, some of these are pretty clever. And the more jokes the clock told, the more Brad wanted to stay in bed. He tried ignoring the alarm, but there were too many jokes and he couldn't help cracking a smile at some of them. So he would stay in bed laughing until the very last second. This went on day after day, week after week, and Brad never got out of bed before 8 a.m. Now, there's nothing wrong with sleeping in a little later, but Brad had places to be and things to do. Unfortunately, he never seemed to do either. One day, Brad's mom had enough. Son, if you don't get out of bed right away in the morning, I'm gonna take your alarm clock away. Brad just laughed. Yeah, right, Mom, like that's ever gonna happen. He thought his mom was joking, but she wasn't. As soon as Brad didn't get out of bed right away the next morning, she turned off his alarm clock, put it on the counter, and left for work. Brad started to panic. He needed that clock to wake him up. Without it, he was going to be late for school. He pressed the power button, but it didn't turn on. Brad flipped the clock over and saw the batteries were dead. What was he gonna do? How was he supposed to get out of bed without his beloved atomic awful alarm clock? Now, it just so happened that Brad's best friend, Lily, was having the exact same problem. She couldn't get out of bed in the morning either, and her parents had taken away her alarm clock too. Now, Lily and Brad lived on the same street, but they didn't know each other. They had never even spoken a word to one another. But they did have one thing in common, a love of terrible jokes. As Lily walked down the sidewalk toward school, she heard someone chuckling to themselves. She followed the sound and found Brad doubled over in laughter. What do you call a fish with no eyes, FSH? Brad was crying. Tears of joy. That's a good one. Hey, wanna hear another one? Sure, said Lily. And that's when they found out they both needed to wake up earlier in the morning. You know, we could help each other out, said Brad. I could come over early in the morning and you could tell me a joke and I'll get up right away. Or, said Lily, you could come over and I could tell you a joke and you can get up right away. Yeah, that works too, said Brad. So that's what they did. Every morning at 7 a.m. sharp, they would meet at Lily's house and tell each other the worst joke they could think of. At first, it was difficult to wake up. They both wanted to stay in bed and sleep just a little longer. But they had promised each other they would be there at 7 a.m., and they always kept their promises. Plus, they had jokes to tell. And here's the thing, they weren't as good at telling jokes as the alarm clock, which meant they had to try harder and harder each morning to come up with more and more ridiculous jokes. Sometimes they would even stay up the night before trying to think of the perfect joke. What do you call an elephant that doesn't matter? An irrelevant, said Brad one morning. Lily shook her head and smiled. That's a good one, Brad, but I've got a better one. What does a nosy pepper do? It gets jalapeno business. Brad was in tears. That's a good one, Lily. You win this round. And they kept this routine up for weeks and weeks. And eventually something amazing happened. Brad started waking up at 7 a.m. all by himself. No alarm clock, no joke telling needed. He loved waking up now. In fact, he loved waking up so much that he started waking up at 6 a.m. to watch the sunrise. Now, I don't know if you've ever watched a sunrise, but they're really beautiful. And it made Brad really happy that he woke up early. But that happiness didn't last long because as soon as the sun started coming up, he heard a knock at the window. He opened the curtains and there was Lily holding a brand new alarm clock. I got you this for helping me with my jokes, she said. Wow, thanks, Lily, but I don't need an alarm clock anymore. I can wake up all by myself. Oh, said Lily. Well, do you want to hear a joke? Brad started to laugh. Of course I do. Hit me with your best shot. And Lily leaned in and said, why don't they play poker in the jungle? Too many cheetahs. Brad started to panic. This was the first bad joke he'd heard in weeks, and it was his fault. Now, I don't want to spoil the ending for you, but let's just say that Brad went back to being late for school. But here's the thing, he didn't mind. He was okay being late because now he had a friend. He had someone to share his awful alarm clock jokes with every single day. And that's all he needed. The end. The moral of this story is that kids should wake up early because they have stuff to do. But also, it's okay to stay in bed if you have a good reason to. Also, never trust an alarm clock that tells jokes, especially if it's trying to wake you up. Hi, I'm one of the creators of this channel, and I want to thank you for watching this story. If you liked it, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. We make a lot of funny cartoons for kids, like the Bad Guys Club and May the Best Friend Win. And we're working on a lot more. So please subscribe so you don't miss any of our new videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.